The alarm blared through the cargo ship's bridge, piercing the quiet hum of deep space travel. Taman lifted his head from the navigation console, his tired eyes focusing on the sensor display. Something was out there drifting in the black void between stars. What is it? Taehyun asked from the co-pilot seat, his fingers already moving across his own screens. Small object. Maybe debris, Taman said, but his instincts told him otherwise. Debris didn't usually emit faint power signatures. He adjusted the sensors, bringing the object into clearer view. Wait, that's an escape pod. Taehyun leaned forward, his expression hardening. Out here? In contested space? Taman, we should keep moving. But Taman was already changing course. The Morning Star, his aging cargo vessel, turned slowly toward the drifting pod. They were 3 days from the nearest human colony, operating in the dangerous border region where human territory met the Velhari Empire. Smart captains avoided this area. Desperate ones like Taman and his small crew took the risk for better pay. Someone might be alive in there, Taman said quietly. Or it could be a trap, Daehyun countered. Pirates use fake distress signals all the time. Taman didn't answer. He brought the ship alongside the pod, and through the viewport they could see it clearly now. It was definitely Velhari design. Sleek, organic curves that human ships never had. Scorch marks blackened one side and a crack ran along its surface. That's a Velhari pod, Daehyun said, his voice rising. Taman, no. Absolutely not. You know what they do to humans. We dock with that thing, we're dead. Minji's voice crackled over the intercom from the engine room. What's going on up there? Why did we stop? Taman found a Velhari escape pod and lost his mind, Daehyun said. Is someone inside? Minji asked. Taman studied the readings. Life signs. Weak but present. 1 occupant, he looked at Daehyun. I'm bringing it aboard. They'll kill us for this, Daehyun said, but he didn't try to stop Taman. They'd been friends for 15 years, and he knew that tone. Taman had made his decision. The cargo bay doors opened, and Taman used the ship's manipulator arms to guide the damaged pod inside. Once pressurization completed, he headed down to the bay with Minji while Daehyun remained on the bridge, monitoring for any other ships in the area. The pod looked even more damaged up close. Minji ran her scanner over it. Hull breach sealed itself somehow. Auto repair systems. Impressive tech. She was young, barely 25, and her curiosity often overrode her caution. Taman found the release mechanism and hesitated for just a moment. Then he pressed it. The pod's door hissed open with a cloud of strange-smelling vapor. Inside lay a woman, though calling her that felt insufficient. She was humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin had a faint silver-blue tint, and intricate patterns of bioluminescent markings traced along her arms and neck, currently dim and flickering. Her features were elegant, almost ethereal. She wore torn clothing that might have once been formal attire. Blood, dark purple blood, stained her side. She's hurt, Minji whispered, already moving forward with a medical kit. Careful, Taman warned. But Minji was already scanning the alien woman. Her vitals are dropping. We need to get her to the medical bay now. Together they carefully lifted her. She was surprisingly light. As they moved her, her eyes fluttered open. Large eyes with no visible pupils, just shifting colors like oil on water. She saw Taman's face and made a sound, something between a gasp and a word in a language he didn't know. Then her eyes closed again. In the medical bay, Minji worked quickly, though she was operating on guesswork and hope. Human medicine and Velhari biology were completely different. She cleaned the wound, some kind of energy burn, and applied a universal healing gel they kept for emergencies. The alien woman's breathing stabilized slightly. Daehyun appeared in the doorway. I'm picking up a ship on long-range sensors. Velhari patrol vessel. It's distant, but it's moving in a search pattern. Looking for her, Taman said, probably. And if they find her on a human ship, they'll vaporize us without asking questions. Daehyun crossed his arms. We need to jettison the pod and get out of here. She'll die, Minji said. We'll die if we keep her, Daehyun shot back. Taman, I know you want to help, but this is suicide. Taman looked at the unconscious woman on the medical bed. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed faintly with each shallow breath. Get us moving. Away from that patrol. Keep us in the asteroid belt where their sensors will have trouble. You're really doing this, Daehyun said. I'm really doing this. Daehyun shook his head but returned to the bridge. The ship's engines rumbled to life, and they began moving deeper into the asteroid field using the spinning rocks as cover. Hours passed. Minji stayed with their patient while Taemin helped Daehyun navigate the dangerous field. Finally, as Taemin returned to check on their guest, he found her awake. She was sitting up on the bed, pressed against the wall, her eyes wide and frightened. When Taemin entered, she made a sharp sound and tried to move away, but her injury made her wince. "It's okay," Taemin said softly, raising his hands. "You're safe here." She spoke in her own language, rapid and musical. He didn't understand a word. Minji pulled out a translation device, an old but functional model. She activated it and set it between them. "This should help." The alien woman stared at the device, then spoke again. This time, the translator processed her words into accented but understandable speech. "Where am I? What do you want?" "You're on a human cargo ship called the Morning Star," Taemin said. "We found your escape pod damaged and drifting. You were injured. We brought you aboard to help you." Her expression shifted through several emotions: confusion, disbelief, and something that might have been fear. "Humans," she said, and the translator caught the disdain in her tone. "You should have left me. You would have died," Minji said. "Better than being captured by primitives." The alien woman touched her wounded side and winced again. She looked at the bandage, at the medical equipment around her, and her expression changed. "You healed me. Why?" "Because you needed help," Taemin said simply. She studied him for a long moment, as if trying to understand a difficult puzzle. "My name is Hyejin," she finally said. "I am Velhari. You know what my people think of humans." "Yes," Taemin said, "but that doesn't mean we have to think the same way about you." Hyejin's bioluminescent markings brightened slightly, a reaction Taemin couldn't interpret. "There is a patrol ship searching for me. If they find me here, they will destroy your vessel and everyone on it. No questions. No mercy." "We figured," Taemin said. "Why are they after you?" Hyejin was quiet for a moment, then said, "There was a purge. Political enemies being eliminated. I was at the wrong place, affiliated with the wrong people. I escaped barely. My family, my colleagues. I don't know if any of them survived." "We'll help you get somewhere safe," Taemin said. Hyejin laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "Why would you do that? Your kind is considered inferior by every major species in the galaxy. Weak, worthless. And you would risk everything for someone who thinks you're beneath her?" Taemin met her strange, shifting eyes. "Because it's the right thing to do. That's what humans do." Hyejin stared at him, and for the first time since waking, the hostility in her expression faded into something closer to wonder. "I don't understand you," she whispered. "You don't have to," Taemin said. "Just rest. We'll figure out where to take you." He turned to leave, but her voice stopped him. "Captain Taemin, thank you." He nodded and walked out, leaving Minji to tend to their unusual patient. On the bridge, Daehyun looked up from the sensors with a grim expression. "That patrol ship changed course. They're heading our way." Taemin slid into the captain's chair and studied the navigation display. They had maybe 6 hours before the Velhari ship would be in weapons range. 6 hours to decide what to do with an alien woman whose people would kill them all for showing her mercy. He began calculating routes, looking for any option that might save them all. The Morning Star twisted through the asteroid field like a fish swimming between rocks. Every few minutes, Taemin had to adjust their course to avoid a collision. Behind them, the Velhari patrol ship grew closer, its superior sensors cutting through the interference that protected them. In the small common area that served as both meeting room and dining space, the crew gathered. Hyejin sat at the table, still weak but insistent on being part of the conversation. Her bioluminescent markings glowed steadier now, a sign that she was recovering. "We have maybe 4 hours before they catch us," Daehyun said, standing with his arms crossed. "Once they do, we're done. Their weapons will cut through our shields like paper." "What do they want with you?" Minji asked Hyejin directly. "You said there was a purge, but who exactly are you?" Hyejin looked down at her hands. "I was a diplomatic aide, mid-level position in the Imperial administration. Nothing important, or so I thought. But I worked for the Seventh Circle, a faction within the government that pushed for reform. 3 days ago, the Empress decided our ideas were too dangerous. She ordered us all eliminated." "How many?" Taemin asked quietly. 3,000 people. Politicians, administrators, their families, anyone connected to the Seventh Circle. Hyejin's voice remained steady, but her markings dimmed. "I only survived because I was on a transport ship when the order came down." Someone loyal to us sabotaged the ship rather than let it be captured. The escape pods launched automatically. I don't know if anyone else made it. Silence filled the room. Even Daehyun looked shaken. I'm sorry, Minji said softly. Your sympathy means nothing, Hyejin said. But there was no real venom in her words. In a few hours you'll be dead because of me anyway. Unless you do the smart thing, which is? Daehyun asked. Put me back in the pod. Jettison it. The patrol will stop to retrieve me and you can escape while they're distracted. Hyejin met Taemin's eyes. It's the logical choice. You'd be captured, Taemin said. I was dead anyway when I got in that pod. This just delays it. Hyejin stood wobbling slightly. Minji moved to help her, but Hyejin waved her off. I won't let my people kill humans who showed me mercy. That would be worse than dying myself. Daehyun looked at Taemin. She's right. It's our best chance. No, Taemin said. Taemin, I said no. Taemin's voice was firm. We don't trade lives. Not for convenience. Not for safety. Then what do you suggest? Daehyun demanded. Because I don't see another option here. Taemin turned to Hyejin. You said you were a diplomatic aide. That means you know things. Velhari trade routes, patrol patterns, safe zones. Information that would be valuable. Hyejin's eyes narrowed. You want me to betray my people. I want you to buy your passage. You help us get out of this and we get you somewhere safe. Somewhere far from the Velhari Empire where you can disappear. There is no such place, Hyejin said. The Empire has agreements with every major power. They would return me. What about the independent stations? The frontier zones? Minji suggested. Those are lawless places, Hyejin said. Criminal havens. But they don't cooperate with the Empire, Taemin said. You'd have a chance there. A better one than going back in that pod. Hyejin studied him for a long moment. Why do you care? You still haven't answered that. You're risking your ship, your crew, your lives for someone who means nothing to you. You're not nothing, Minji said. You're a person who needs help. I'm Velhari. We've enslaved human colonies. We've killed thousands of your people. We call you primitives, insects, barely worth noticing. And you would help me? Hyejin's voice rose, not in anger, but in genuine confusion. What kind of species does this? Taemin stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the tumbling asteroids. When I was a kid, my colony was hit by raiders. Not Velhari, just pirates. They took what they wanted and left us with almost nothing. We would have starved if another human ship hadn't come through. They gave us supplies, medicine, even stayed to help us rebuild. My father asked the captain why he'd do that for strangers. The captain said, because someday you'll find someone else who needs help and you'll do the same. That's what humans do, Hyejin. We help because we can. Because it's right. Even when it costs us, Hyejin was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I can get you through the patrol line. There's a shipping corridor 3 sectors from here. If we can reach it, you can jump to hyperspace before they catch us. They'll follow us, Daehyun said. Not if I give you the current patrol encryption codes. You can spoof your signature as a Velhari supply ship. They won't shoot at one of their own, and by the time they realize the deception, you'll be gone. Hyejin looked at Taemin. But I need access to your communications array to implement it. You'll have to trust me not to signal them. Do it, Taemin said immediately. Are you insane? Daehyun exploded. She could call them right now. She won't, Taemin said, still looking at Hyejin. Because she wants to live and because I don't think she's ready to let us die for her. Am I right? Hyejin's markings brightened until they were almost glowing. Taemin had learned enough to recognize it as an emotional response, though he didn't know which emotion. You're either very wise or very foolish, Captain. I haven't decided which. Most days neither have I, Taemin said with a slight smile. Minji, help her to the bridge. Daehyun, prepare for acceleration. We're making a run for it. The next hour was tense. Hyejin worked at the communications console, her fingers moving across the controls with practiced ease. She spoke softly in her own language, inputting codes and rerouting systems. Daehyun watched her like a hawk, his hand never far from the emergency lockdown controls. There, Hyejin finally said. Your ship now reads as the supply vessel Catalvi. If they scan you from a distance, they'll think you're one of ours. And if they get close enough to look through the viewport? Daehyun asked. Then we die. So don't let them get close. Hyejin moved away from the console. The shipping corridor is a 2-hour burn from here at maximum speed. The patrol ship will intercept in 90 minutes. You'll have to push your engines beyond their limits. Minji grinned. That's my specialty. The Morning Star burst from the asteroid field at full thrust, its old engine screaming with the effort. Behind them, the Velhari patrol ship adjusted course immediately, closing the distance. They've spotted us, Daehyun reported. They're hailing. Ignore it, Hyejin said. Supply ships don't always respond immediately. It will buy us time. The ship shuddered as Minji diverted power from non-essential systems to the engines. In the engine room, alarms would be blaring, but she kept them running hot. 60 minutes passed, 50, 40. They're hailing again, Daehyun said, more insistent this time. How far to the corridor? Taemin asked. 30 minutes. Can we make it? The engines are at 115%. If we push them harder, we'll blow the core. They're powering weapons, Daehyun said, his voice tight. Taemin's hands gripped the controls. Minji, I need everything you've got. You'll have it, came the reply through the intercom. The ship surged forward. 20 minutes. The patrol ship fired a warning shot that blazed past their starboard side. 15 minutes. Another shot closer. They're not buying it anymore, Daehyun said. They know we're not Velhari. 10 minutes. The shipping corridor appeared on their sensors, a designated safe zone where multiple species ships traveled. The patrol wouldn't fire there. It would cause an incident with too many witnesses. 5 minutes. A blast struck their rear shields, draining them to 30%. Almost there, Taemin shouted. The Morning Star crossed into the corridor just as another blast would have struck. The Velhari ship broke off, unable to continue the attack. Taemin throttled down the engines before they exploded. In the sudden quiet, the crew breathed. Hyejin slumped in her seat, her markings dim with exhaustion. There's a station 4 hours ahead, she said quietly. Talon's Rest, it's an independent hub. Smugglers, refugees, people who don't want to be found. I can disappear there. Taemin nodded. Then that's where we're going. 4 hours later, they docked at Talon's Rest, a massive station cobbled together from dozens of different ships and structures. It looked chaotic and dangerous, but it was far from the Velhari Empire's reach. At the airlock, Hyejin paused. She looked at each of them, Minji, Daehyun, and finally Taemin. I still don't understand you, she said, but I'm grateful. More than you know. Stay safe, Taemin said. Hyejin touched her forehead with 2 fingers, a gesture of respect. Then she walked through the airlock and disappeared into the crowded station. As the Morning Star undocked, Daehyun said quietly, We just made enemies of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Yeah, Taemin agreed. But we did the right thing. I hope that's enough, Daehyun said. Taemin watched the station shrink in the viewport and hoped so too. 3 days after leaving Hyejin at Talon's Rest, the Morning Star arrived at New Haven Colony, a small human settlement that served as Taemin's usual base of operations. He expected the normal routine. Dock, unload cargo, pick up new contracts, maybe get a decent meal at the station bar. Instead, 2 colonial security officers were waiting at the dock. Captain Taemin Park? The taller officer asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. That's me, Taemin said, keeping his voice steady. Beside him, Daehyun tensed. You need to come with us. Questions about your recent activities. They were taken to a sterile interview room in the station's administrative section. The officers, a man named Kwon and a woman named Eunji, sat across the metal table with data pads and serious expressions. 3 days ago, you were detected in the contested zone near Velhari space, Kwon said. Is that correct? We run cargo through that area sometimes. The pay is better, Taemin said carefully. And did you have any contact with Velhari vessels or persons during this time? Eunji asked. Taemin met her eyes. He could lie. Should lie, probably, but he'd never been good at it. We encountered a Velhari escape pod. There was someone inside, injured. We provided medical assistance and transported them to a safe location. The 2 officers exchanged glances. Kwon leaned forward. Captain Park, do you understand that unauthorized contact with Velhari is a violation of colonial security protocols? The Empire considers humans to be inferior species. Any interaction can be interpreted as an act of aggression or espionage. Someone was dying, Taemin said. Was I supposed to just leave them? Yes, Eunji said flatly. That's exactly what you were supposed to do. The Velhari Empire has made it clear that they will retaliate against any human involvement in their internal affairs. You've potentially endangered this entire colony. How did you even know about this? Daehyun asked. Kwon tapped his datapad. An automated monitoring system picked up your ship's signature in that sector. When cross-referenced with Velhari patrol movements, it flagged your vessel for investigation. Then we received an anonymous tip that you'd been harboring a Velhari fugitive. Who sent the tip? Taman asked. Anonymous means we don't know, Captain, Yunji said. But someone wanted us to know what you did. The interview lasted 2 hours. They asked the same questions different ways, trying to find inconsistencies. But Taman told the truth, most of it anyway. He left out details about the encryption codes and Hyejin's exact identity. Finally, they let him go with a warning. His ship was flagged in the system now. Any future violations would result in his captain's license being revoked. Back on the Morning Star, the crew gathered in the common area. Minji looked worried while Daehyun just looked angry. Someone ratted us out, Daehyun said. Someone at Talon's Rest must have seen Hyejin and reported it. Why would they do that? Minji asked. Bounty probably, or fear. People don't want trouble with the Velhari. Daehyun slammed his hand on the table. I told you this would blow back on us. It's done now, Taman said quietly. We deal with what comes. What came was worse than they expected. Over the next 2 days, word spread through the small community of human traders and cargo runners. Taman's ship was blacklisted. Potential clients canceled contracts. When he tried to pick up new jobs, the offers dried up as soon as people heard his name. In the station bar, Taman sat alone nursing a drink when Borum, another cargo captain he'd known for years, sat down across from him. Heard about your trouble, Borum said. News travels fast, Taman replied. Look, you're a good guy, Taman. Everyone knows that. But nobody wants to be associated with someone who's on the Velhari's bad side. It's not personal. It's survival. Borum stood up. I hope things work out for you, but I can't be seen talking to you, sorry. He left. Taman stared into his drink, wondering if saving one life was worth destroying his crew's future. That evening, Minji knocked on his cabin door. When he let her in, she sat on the edge of his bunk and said, The station administrator called. They're asking us to leave New Haven. Why? They don't want the Velhari to have any reason to notice this colony. Having us here puts everyone at risk, supposedly. Minji looked at her hands. Taman, I'm not saying you were wrong, but this is getting bad. I know, he said. I'm sorry. I didn't think it would affect you and Daehyun this much. We made the choice to stay with you. We're not going anywhere. She smiled slightly. Even if we're broke and blacklisted. After she left, Taman sat in the darkness of his cabin, feeling the weight of leadership pressing down on him. He'd done what he thought was right. He still believed it was right, but watching his crew suffer the consequences made him question everything. The next morning, Daehyun found him on the bridge, staring at blank screens. The cargo holds were empty. No jobs were coming in. Their credit account was getting dangerously low. We need to find work, Daehyun said. Maybe in a different sector where your reputation hasn't spread yet. Maybe, Taman said without conviction. Or we could sell the ship. Start over with different names, new identities. Run away from what we did. From the consequences of what you did, Daehyun corrected. But his tone wasn't harsh. Look, I was against helping Hyejin. I thought it was stupid and reckless. But you went ahead anyway. And we supported you because you're our captain and our friend. We don't regret that. But we also can't eat principles. We need credits to survive. I know, Taman said. I'm working on it, but he wasn't. He didn't know what to do. The shipping companies wouldn't hire him. The independent contractors wouldn't work with him. Even the less reputable operations avoided him, not wanting to draw attention from colonial security. By the third day, they had enough credits for maybe 2 more weeks of basic supplies and station fees. After that, they'd have to start selling ship components just to eat. Taman sat in the common area late that night, unable to sleep. He pulled up Hyejin's information on his datapad, what little he had. He wondered if she was safe at Talon's Rest, if she was even alive. He hoped saving her had at least meant something because it was costing him everything. Minji found him there an hour later. Can't sleep either. Too much thinking, he said. She sat down across from him. Do you regret it? Helping her? Taman considered the question. No, if I could go back, I'd do it again. But I wish I'd been smarter about it. Wish I'd protected you and Daehyun better from the fallout. We're grown adults. We made our choices. Minji smiled. Besides, maybe something will break our way. The universe has a weird sense of timing sometimes. Taman wanted to believe her, but right now the universe felt cold and indifferent. The next morning, Station Control hailed the Morning Star with an unusual message. Captain Park, there's an unregistered vessel requesting permission to dock with your ship. Taman sat up in his bunk, instantly alert. What kind of vessel? Small personal craft, non-human design. They're broadcasting a message for you specifically. Taman hurried to the bridge where Daehyun was already pulling up the sensor data. It's definitely alien, Daehyun confirmed. But not Velhari. At least not any Velhari ship I've seen. Play the message, Taman said. The communications panel crackled and then a voice came through. A familiar voice that made Taman's heart skip. Captain Taman, this is Hyejin. I request permission to board your vessel. I come alone and unarmed. I have something important to discuss with you. Daehyun turned to look at Taman, his expression shocked. Is that? Yes, Taman said. He keyed the comms. Permission granted. Dock at airlock 2. Are you sure about this? Daehyun asked. We're already in enough trouble because of her. What's a little more trouble? Taman said, but his mind was racing. Why had Hyejin come back? What could she possibly want? 10 minutes later, the airlock cycled open, and Hyejin stepped through. But she was nothing like the injured, desperate refugee they'd left at Talon's Rest 3 days ago. She wore formal Velhari attire, elegant and obviously expensive. Her bioluminescent markings glowed bright and steady. Behind her came 2 Velhari guards in ceremonial armor, their expressions unreadable. But it was Hyejin's eyes that captured Taman's attention. They held the same intelligence, the same complexity he remembered. But now there was also confidence, authority, and something else. Purpose. Captain Taman, she said formally. Thank you for seeing me. I believe we have much to discuss. Taman stood frozen, his mind trying to process what he was seeing. Minji appeared in the corridor, stopped, and stared. Hyejin, Taman finally managed. What's going on? She smiled, and her markings brightened. I wasn't entirely truthful with you before. Not about the important parts, anyway. May we talk privately? Taman nodded slowly and led her to the common area, his heart pounding. The guards remained at the airlock. Once they were alone, Hyejin's formal bearing softened slightly. I owe you an explanation, she said. And a debt. You don't owe us anything, Taman said. Captain, I owe you everything. Hyejin's voice was serious. 3 days ago you saved my life when you had every reason to let me die. You protected me at enormous risk to yourself, and in doing so, you changed more than you know. I don't understand. Then let me explain, Hyejin said, and then let me show you what gratitude looks like when a Velhari can actually repay it. Hyejin sat at the table in the common area, her elegant attire seeming out of place in the worn, practical space of the Morning Star. Taman sat across from her with Daehyun and Minji standing nearby. The 2 Velhari guards remained at the airlock, standing perfectly still. I need to tell you who I really am, Hyejin began. When we met, I told you I was a diplomatic aide. That was true, but incomplete. My full name is Hyejin of House Valara, 3rd daughter of the imperial family. Daehyun made a choking sound. Minji's hand went to her mouth. Taman just stared. Your royalty, he said slowly, in a manner of speaking. The Velhari Empire is ruled by the Empress, but the imperial family includes hundreds of members across dozens of houses. I'm not in line for the throne, but I carry the blood and the title. Hyejin's markings flickered, which is why when the 7th circle fell, I was marked for death. The Empress couldn't allow any imperial blood to remain loyal to the reformists. But you survived, Minji said quietly. Because of luck and the sacrifice of loyal guards who got me to that escape pod. Hyejin looked at Taman. And then because of you, a human captain who showed mercy to someone who didn't deserve it. Everyone deserves mercy, Taman said. Hyejin smiled sadly. That's such a human thing to say. My people don't think that way. We measure worth by power, by position, by usefulness. Mercy is seen as weakness. Then your people are wrong, Daehyun said bluntly. Perhaps, Hyejin agreed. When you dropped me at Talon's Rest, I contacted surviving members of the 7th Circle. We'd had contingency plans for exactly this kind of purge. Within a day, loyal forces began gathering. Within 2 days, we had enough support to challenge the Empress's decree. A counter-rebellion? Minji asked. More like a political correction. The Empress had overreached. Too many important houses had members in the 7th Circle. She thought she could eliminate us all quickly and cleanly. but she underestimated our network. Hyejin's markings brightened with what looked like satisfaction. 3 hours ago, the Empress was forced to rescind the purge order. The 7th circle is restored and I am returned to my position. More than that, actually. I've been elevated to the Council of Voices, one of the highest advisory bodies in the Empire. Taemin tried to process this. So you won. We survived. Whether we won remains to be seen. Hyejin leaned forward. But here's what matters, Captain Taemin. During those dark days when I thought I would die alone in that escape pod, it was you who showed me something I'd never experienced before. Kindness without calculation, help without demand for payment. You asked nothing from me. You expected nothing. You simply helped because I needed it. That's what anyone should do, Taemin said. But they don't, Hyejin said intensely. In the Empire, every action has a price. Every gesture of help comes with strings attached. But you humans, you just help. And when I returned to my people and told them this story, many didn't believe me. They said I must have misunderstood that humans were too primitive to act without selfish motivation. What did you tell them? Minji asked. I told them they were wrong about humans, that your species possesses something we lack, genuine compassion, and I told them that if I ever regained my power, I would repay the debt I owed to Captain Taemin Park and his crew. Hyejin stood. So here I am. I've come to repay that debt. She gestured to one of her guards who stepped forward carrying a case. The guard placed it on the table and stepped back. Hyejin opened it. Inside was a crystal roughly the size of Taemin's fist that seemed to contain swirling light. It pulsed gently, casting rainbow reflections around the room. This is a Velhari navigation crystal, Hyejin said. It's encoded with access codes that will allow your ship safe passage through Velhari space. No patrol will stop you. No checkpoint will question you. You'll be treated as an honored guest of the Empire. Taemin stared at the crystal. That's impossible. Humans have never been given access to Velhari space. You have now, Hyejin said simply. This crystal is registered to your ship specifically. It cannot be transferred or copied, and it comes with my personal seal, which means any Velhari who interferes with you will answer to me. Why would you do this? Daehyun asked, his voice filled with suspicion. What do you want from us? Nothing, Hyejin said. This is a gift, a repayment of debt, though I should warn you that accepting it will change your status in the galaxy. Other species will notice that humans have Velhari favor. It may make your life more complicated. More complicated than being blacklisted and broke? Minji muttered. Hyejin's expression shifted to concern. You've suffered consequences for helping me. Colonial security flagged us. Word spread. Nobody wants to work with a ship that angered the Velhari, Taemin explained. We've lost all our contracts. Hyejin's markings flared bright with what Taemin now recognized as anger. This is unacceptable. You saved my life and your own people punished you for it? They're just scared, Taemin said. Can't really blame them. I can and I do, Hyejin said firmly. She turned to her guard. Send a message to the Velhari Diplomatic Corps. I want a formal communication sent to the human colonial security indicating that Captain Taemin Park and his crew are under Imperial protection. Any harassment or punishment directed at them will be considered an insult to House Velara. Is that wise? The guard asked in the Velhari language, but Taemin's translator caught it. It's necessary, Hyejin replied in the same language. Then she switched back to the common tongue. Your people need to understand that helping a Velhari, helping me specifically, is not a crime. It's an honor. You don't have to do this, Taemin said. Yes, I do. Hyejin pulled another item from the case, a small device no bigger than a coin. This is a personal communicator. If you ever need help, if you ever face danger you can't handle alone, activate this and I will come. No matter where you are. No matter what I'm doing, I will come. She pressed it into Taemin's hand. Her fingers were cool and smooth, and her markings brightened at the contact. Finally, she said, pulling out a datapad. I'm authorized to offer you a formal trade agreement between your vessel and the Velhari Empire. We need reliable human contacts for certain operations in neutral space. Your ship would be perfect for this. The pay is substantial, and the work is entirely legal. Daehyun leaned over to look at the numbers on the datapad. His eyes went wide. That's more than we made in the last 6 months. It's what you're worth, Hyejin said. And more importantly, it's what I owe you. Taemin looked at the crystal, the communicator, the datapad with its incredible offer. It was too much. It was overwhelming. I don't know what to say, he admitted. Say yes, Eugene said with a slight smile. Say you'll accept these gifts and continue being exactly who you are. The galaxy needs more humans like you, Captain Taman. More people who help first and calculate costs later. More kindness without strings attached. We're not special, Taman said. Most humans would have done the same thing. Then your species is more valuable than we ever realized, Eugene said softly. She stood and gave him that two-fingered salute to the forehead again. I must return to the Empire. There's much work to do and I can't be away long. But I meant what I said. You have a friend in the Velhari now. That's worth more than you know. She walked to the airlock, her guards falling in behind her. At the threshold, she turned back. One more thing, Captain. In 2 days, representatives from the Velhari Diplomatic Corps will arrive at this station. They're going to make a formal announcement about our new relationship with select human partners. Your name will be mentioned, favorably and publicly. I want every species in the galaxy to know that humans are capable of extraordinary compassion. You're going to start an incident, Daehyun said. I'm going to start a conversation, Yejin corrected. One that's long overdue. Goodbye, my friends. Until we meet again. The airlock closed behind her. Through the viewport, Taman watched the sleek Velhari ship undock and glide away, impossibly graceful against the stars. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Minji started laughing, a slightly hysterical sound. Did that really just happen? She asked. Did we just become friends with Velhari royalty? I think we did, Taman said, looking at the crystal still pulsing with inner light. Daehyun picked up the datapad and studied the trade agreement. These numbers are insane. If even half of this is real, we could upgrade the entire ship and still have credits left over. It's real, Taman said. He felt it in his bones. Hijin had meant every word, so what now? Minji asked. Taman looked at his crew, at the crystal, at the small communicator in his hand. Now we accept the gift. We do the work. And we keep being who we are. Compassionate idiots who help people? Daehyun asked, but he was smiling. Exactly, Taman said. Over the next 2 days, everything changed. The message from House Valara reached Colonial Security, and suddenly the officials who'd interrogated Taman were apologizing profusely. The blacklist was lifted. Contracts started appearing again, better ones than before. When the Velhari Diplomatic Corps arrived at New Haven Station, they did exactly what Hijin had promised. In a formal ceremony broadcast across human space and beyond, they announced a new trade partnership with select human vessels. The Morning Star was named specifically, with Captain Taman Park recognized as a friend to the Velhari Empire. The reaction was immediate and enormous. Other alien species who'd dismissed humans as insignificant. 2 weeks after Hyejin's return, Taman stood at the observation deck of New Haven Station, watching ships come and go. But these weren't just human ships anymore. Mixed in with the familiar cargo haulers and colony transports were vessels from a dozen different species. Sleek Velhari cruisers, bulky Torvian freight ships, even a few elegant Cephian explorers. All of them had come to see the station that housed the Morning Star. It's getting crowded, Daehyun said, joining him at the viewport. Station administrator says they've had more traffic in the past 2 weeks than in the past 2 years. Good for business, Taman said. Good for everyone. Daehyun handed him a datapad. 3 more contract offers came in this morning, all from alien companies wanting specifically to work with us. The pay just keeps getting better. Taman scrolled through the offers. A Torvian mining corporation wanted them to transport refined metals through contested space. A Cephian research institute needed discreet transportation for sensitive equipment. A Velhari merchant house offered them an exclusive trade route that would make them wealthy within a year. It's too much, Taman said quietly. What do you mean? This is exactly what we needed. I mean, people are treating us like we're special, like we did something extraordinary. Taman set down the datapad. We just helped someone who needed it. That shouldn't be extraordinary. Daehyun was quiet for a moment. But it is, apparently. At least out here in the galaxy. A message chime interrupted them. Minji's voice came through Taman's communicator. Captain, you need to come to the docking bay. There's someone here to see you, another alien, but not Velhari this time. At the docking bay, Taman found a creature that looked like it was made of interconnected crystal formations, each piece refracting light into rainbow patterns. A crystallian. one of the oldest species in the known galaxy. They were rare this far from their home systems. Captain Taman Park? The Crystallian asked, its voice like wind chimes. That's me. My name is Kaleth. I represent the Crystallian Archive, a repository of knowledge and history. We have been observing the recent developments involving your species and the Velhari Empire with great interest. Okay, Taman said carefully. How can I help you? We wish to document your story, the decision you made to help Hygiene of House Valara, and the consequences that followed. Your actions represent something we have not seen in galactic politics for many cycles. What's that? Compassion without calculation. Aid without expectation of return. In short, genuine altruism. Kaleth's crystalline body pulsed with soft light. Most species in the galaxy operate on transactional relationships. Help is given with the expectation of payment or favor. But you helped Hyejin when she had nothing to offer you, when doing so actively endangered you. This is remarkable. It's just being decent, Taman said, precisely our point. For you, it is simply being decent. For most species, it would be foolish. This difference matters. Over the next hour, Kaleth interviewed Taman about the events, recording everything for the Crystallian Archive. When they finished, the Crystallian said something that stuck with Taman. Your species is young, Captain, barely beginning to explore beyond your own system. Most established species viewed humans as inconsequential, too weak, too primitive, too emotional to matter in galactic affairs. But what you have shown is that these perceived weaknesses, your empathy, your compassion, your willingness to help even at personal cost, these may be humanity's greatest strengths. After Kaleth left, Taman returned to the Morning Star to find Minji working in the engine room. She looked up from a maintenance panel with a grease-stained face and a huge grin. Guess what came in today? I give up. Replacement parts for the hyperdrive. Top-quality Velhari components. Sent compliments of House Valara. With these I can boost our speed by 30% and cut fuel consumption by half. She laughed. I've been dreaming about parts like these for years. That's great, Taman said and meant it. Seeing his crew happy made everything worthwhile. In his cabin that night, Taman pulled up the news feeds on his datapad. The story of the Morning Star and its crew had spread far beyond New Haven. Human colonies everywhere were talking about it. Some called Taman a hero. Others said he'd been reckless but lucky. A few criticized him for getting involved in alien politics. But buried in the comments and discussions, Taman found something more interesting. Stories from other humans who'd made similar choices. A colony ship captain who'd rescued stranded Torvian miners. A human diplomat who'd sheltered political refugees from the Kessian Collective. A trader who'd shared supplies with a starving alien settlement. Humans helping others. Not for reward. Not for recognition. Just because it needed to be done, maybe Kaleth was right. Maybe this was what made humans different. A week later, Taman received a message on the personal communicator Hyejin had given him. Just text, no voice. Captain, I wanted you to know that the Empire's Council of Voices is debating a formal policy change regarding human contact. Several influential houses are arguing that humans should be reclassified from primitive species to developing partners. It's a significant shift. Your actions started this. Thank you. Taman read the message 3 times, trying to process what it meant. The Velhari Empire, which had viewed humans as little more than insects, was considering treating them as equals. All because he'd pulled one person from a damaged escape pod. He thought about responding, but decided against it. Hyejin knew he was grateful. Words weren't necessary. A month after Hyejin's return, the Morning Star took its first contract using the Velhari navigation crystal. They transported medical supplies through what had been hostile Velhari space, reaching a human colony that had been cut off from aid for months. The journey that would have taken 3 weeks and been incredibly dangerous took 5 days and was completely uneventful. At the colony, the administrator was a woman named Jiwoo, who'd been struggling to keep her people healthy with dwindling supplies. You saved lives bringing this here so fast, she told Taman as they unloaded. How did you get through Velhari space? Taman showed her the crystal. Jiwoo stared at it in wonder. I heard the rumors, but I didn't believe them. A human ship with Velhari protection. She looked at Taman. They're saying you're changing things. That because of you, aliens are starting to respect humans. I just helped someone who needed it, Taman said. The word's automatic now. Yeah, Jiwoo said with a smile. That's what humans do. And apparently that matters more than we thought. Back on the Morning Star, As they prepared to depart, Daehyun brought up something that had been on everyone's mind. We're going to be known for this forever, aren't we? The crew that befriended the Valhari. The humans who made a difference. Probably, Taemin admitted. Does that bother you? Taemin thought about it. A little. I don't like being famous. But if it helps other humans, if it makes aliens see us differently, then I guess it's worth it. Very noble, Daehyun said. Then grinned. Also, the pay is amazing, so there's that. Taemin laughed. Some things never changed. 3 months after the rescue, Taemin received an invitation to attend a diplomatic summit on the neutral world of Nexus Prime. Representatives from 24 species would be there, including the Valhari Empire. The invitation came from Heejin personally. Your presence is requested to speak about human values and perspectives. Many species wish to understand your kind better. Please come. Bring your crew. It's time the galaxy heard directly from humans about who they are and what they believe. Taemin discussed it with Daehyun and Minji. It would mean leaving the cargo business for a while, stepping into politics and diplomacy that were way above their pay grade. We're going, Minji said immediately. Why? Taemin asked. Because someone needs to represent humans and it might as well be us. We're already famous anyway. Might as well use it for something good. Daehyun nodded agreement. Besides, I want to see the looks on their faces when a bunch of cargo runners walk into a fancy diplomatic summit. So they went. Nexus Prime was a massive space station that served as neutral ground for galactic politics. The summit hall was enormous, filled with beings from across known space. Taemin felt completely out of place in his simple captain's uniform among all the formal attire and diplomatic regalia. But when Heejin introduced him to the assembly, something shifted. He wasn't just a cargo captain anymore. He was a representative of humanity, whether he wanted to be or not. They asked him questions. Why had he helped Heejin? What did he hope to gain? What did humans want from the galactic community? Taemin answered honestly. I helped because someone needed help. I didn't think about gain or politics or consequences. I just saw another person in trouble and knew I could do something about it. That's what humans do. We help when we can. We show compassion even when it costs us. We believe that everyone deserves kindness regardless of who they are or where they come from. A Torvian diplomat challenged him. But this is inefficient. Your species lacks power, resources, technology. You should be focused on building strength, not wasting resources on others. We don't see it as waste, Taemin said. We see it as being who we are. Humans believe that how we treat others, especially when they can't offer us anything in return,